everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I've made a review, so thank you for hanging in there. My plan moving forward is to watch through as many 2023 movies as I can and rate them on my letterbox, so you can follow along on there if you'd like to see where I'm ranking my movies, or you can just wait until I make a top 10 best and top 10 worst of 2023, which I'll be filming soon. Beyond that, I'm just going to be watching 2024 movies and making film reviews for those, starting with Night Swim. Night Swim is Blumhouse Horror's first horror movie of the year, and I was able to go see it earlier this week and kick in the new year. The synopsis is as follows. Forced into early retirement by a degenerative illness, former baseball player Ray Waller moves into a new house with his wife and 2 children. He hopes that the backyard swimming pool will be fun for the kids and provide physical therapy for himself. However, a dark secret from the home's past soon unleashes a malevolent force that drags the family into the depths of inescapable terror. So without further ado, let's get into the 6 things that make a movie great. 1. The plot. Ray is a pretty great baseball player, but due to this illness that he has, it's made him and his wife start thinking more about settling down instead of getting traded by all these teams and having to constantly move around and uproot their lives. Ray agrees, and they find this home with a big pool in the backyard. Things seemingly start to go better for them and then quickly take a turn for the worse. Creepy things start happening, the children start getting scared, and they start to understand that things are not quite as they seem. While some of the setup for this movie was interesting, I found out afterwards that it was based on a short story, and that makes sense.
It's a foreign movie, a film is what it is, actually.
Yeah.
I thought the lore behind that short story
It's a film.
and some of what you see in the movie is interesting, but I don't necessarily think that it should have been made into a movie. The first third of this movie seemed to be okay, but it seems like the more this story furthered away from whatever source material there was, the worse it got. So for me, plot gets a thumbs down. 2 is family friendliness. Night Swim is rated PG-13. There's very minimal profanity, but there's a handful of scary and creepy moments, along with a couple violent moments that were very painful, cringe-inducing violent moments. But even with those darker, scary moments and the brief, violent content, this movie was pretty tame. So use your discretion, but for me, family friendliness gets a 50-50. 3 is acting and script. For me, the acting in this movie was okay. But as things started to go haywire in the script, the acting kind of followed suit. I actually am a huge fan of Wyatt Russell as an actor, and I thought he did a great job in this movie. Carrie Condon did a good job acting as well, and Amelie Hofferl did good as well. With that asterisk of all 3 of them doing well for first third of the movie, and then it dropping off because of the script. The script of this movie was bad. It tried to do several callback moments with things it referenced earlier in the film, but one, this movie isn't really long enough to do that and have it mean anything, and it was done in such cheesy and shallow ways that it just made you shake your head. A couple moments made me laugh. I don't think I was supposed to, but I laughed. So for me, acting and script get a 50-50. 4 is character development. You get some insight into the character of Ray and his motivations and what drives him and a couple moments from his past, but the character development in this movie is shallower than the pool it's about. You just end up not really caring about any of the characters in this film, and especially with what happens at the end of the movie, you just don't feel anything, except for relief that the movie's over. Character development gets a thumbs down. 5 is visuals and CGI. The CGI in this movie was terrible. Not only that, but it just wasn't scary. There are a couple jump scares, but they're slow enough that you can actually see what's going on, and that almost makes it worse. There's some horror movies in the past few years that have been made where you can pause it on the jump scare and then you're all of a sudden not as scared anymore. But on this one, you can see it happen in real time and you're like, oh my gosh, that looks terrible. Like, what even is that? It just was really poorly done, and it was just another tick against this film. There's a sequence near the end of the film that happens that I actually thought was pretty creative, and I liked the way that it came out on film. But besides that, this movie was really bland, and the CG was bad. So for me, visuals and CGI get a thumbs down. 6 is rewatchability. Night Swim is an hour and 38 minutes long, but it definitely felt longer than that. Not much longer, but certainly longer. And I think that's due to the slow build-up, the lack of source material, and just the fact that this film's trying to do something with almost nothing. Honestly, I think what kept me engaged in this movie was the actors. The premise to me was interesting for a short while until you figured it out, and then all of a sudden it wasn't really. And there were a couple concepts that were alluded to but not clearly explained, and you just lost interest. I'm never gonna watch this movie again. For me, rewatchability gets a thumbs down. With all these areas considered, I have to give Night Swim a solid 2 out of 10. The acting performances were decent for a short portion of the movie, and I laughed 3 times which is actually pretty good for a terrible horror movie. Other than that, everything about this film was bad. The CG was terrible, it wasn't that scary, the lore was okay, but there wasn't much. And the more you watch the film, the more you realize it was just another terrible swing and a miss from Blumhouse. But at this point, what more can you expect? So with all that in mind, do not waste your money on going to see Night Swim in theaters. It's not worth it. There's actually quite a few movies from late 2023 that are still playing in theaters that are way more worth going to see. So I'd recommend you do that. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen Night Swim, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your love and support. Thank you for hanging in there. And I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.